Well, joining me live from Newsville is One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. Pauline Hanson, thanks for coming on the show. Good morning, Andrew. Now, can I start by asking, what's your view on the government's changes to negative gearing, capital gains tax, and trust in the budget? Well, Andrew, to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what changes they've actually made. I haven't really had the chance to catch up on it. I've been traveling nonstop over the past 4 days, completely flat out, speaking directly with people on the ground, and they're not happy about negative gearing or the capital gains tax cuts. About a week ago, I said I believed they would make changes because of strong backlash, but I haven't been able to fully assess it yet. I haven't seen the legislation in detail. From what I'm hearing, though, they plan to introduce an omnibus bill that includes tax cuts along with negative gearing and capital gains tax changes. That concerns me. It looks like a tactic by the Labor Party, because if anyone votes against the package, they'll turn around at the next election and claim that those people voted against tax cuts for Australians. If they bundle all three together, we can't support it. I don't believe the negative gearing changes or the capital gains tax changes are good for Australians moving forward. This impacts small businesses, people trying to invest in property, and older Australians trying to secure their future. And with bracket creep, many people will end up losing out over time. So what do you make of Angus Taylor's policy to index tax brackets? Well, that's something that needs to be done. We've talked about that on the floor of Parliament. Tax brackets keep shifting, and when people get a pay rise, they can easily be pushed into a higher bracket. That's exactly what happens. What I want to do, Andrew, is take a serious look at taxation leading into the next election. I think we need a complete overhaul of the system to make it fairer. People who are working their standard 38 or 40 hours, and especially those doing overtime, are being taxed heavily. It's time to rethink the entire taxation structure. I'm not laying out a full plan yet, but it's something I'm seriously working on. So you're talking about a major tax reform policy for the next election. Would you run that and other proposals through the Parliamentary Budget Office for costing? Yes, of course. Now that we're a parliamentary party, we have access to that, which we didn't have before. We don't have the same resources as the major parties, so it's been extremely challenging. But I'm working with economists and various organizations to get it right. In the last election, we proposed income splitting. For example, if one income earner makes around $120,000 a year, and there's a dependent child home, that income could be split between partners. That could mean savings of around $9,000 to $10,000 a year for that household. I want to support families and give them the option for one parent to stay home with their children. Now, looking at the broader budget, we're seeing massive deficits. What's your view on that? What should the government be doing? Should they cut the NDIS or look at alternative tax measures? There are really only two ways to generate revenue, through productivity or by taxing people. And we simply can't tax people any more than we already are. When you have around 7 million Australians surviving on just one meal a day, that's deeply concerning. Add to that the growing homelessness issue. The government created this situation through mass migration, and they've continued with it despite people saying, we can't handle this anymore. They've been arrogant in their approach, bringing in migrants to prop up GDP. But the consequences are being felt everywhere. Then there's climate change policies and transmission projects. They can't even give clear figures on the costs. They won't tell us how much has been paid in subsidies. It's affecting farmers, destroying land, and it won't even deliver the energy we need. And with AI and data storage, we won't even have the power capacity to support it domestically. In my view, the push toward renewables is a waste of money. We need to return to coal-fired power and consider nuclear if we want to sustain this country. We should scrap the climate change department and refocus the NDIS, so it supports only those who truly need it. There's a huge amount of fraud happening. People charging up to $500 an hour in remote areas, scamming the system, shutting down companies, and reopening under new names. The department has failed to address this properly. So what should the government do right now about the cost of living? If they hand out money or cut bills, it can drive inflation. What's the solution? That's the challenge. It is inflationary. But look at what's happened. The public service has grown by 50,000 under this government. We now have over 216,000 public servants, and some are being paid excessively. That's one area I'd examine. We also need to reduce the regulatory burden on businesses. Right now, companies are being strangled by rules and compliance costs. If you lower the cost of doing business, you lower the cost of goods for consumers. Industrial relations is another issue. Employers are struggling. One business owner told me, "Why would I pay a 15-year-old $43 an hour with no experience?" These policies are increasing production costs across the board. We need to remove excessive regulations from farming to manufacturing and allow productivity to recover. But rising wages are also tied to an aging population. Doesn't limiting migration worsen that problem? So you're saying mass migration is the solution, even when people are living in cars, tents, and caravans? That's not acceptable to me. Yes, we need workers, and I've supported targeted migration, for example, in abattoirs in regional areas. But flooding the country isn't the answer. In 2022 to 23, we brought in over 739,000 people. Only about 51,000 were skilled, and just 1,800 went into construction. That doesn't solve the housing crisis. At the same time, government regulations are driving up housing costs. Mandatory accessibility features, expensive bathrooms costing up to $32,000 extra, unnecessary upgrades like double glazing and ceiling fans. These policies are making homes unaffordable for everyday Australians. Governments have created the situation. Let me ask you, polls suggest one nation could win more than 50 seats in the future. Do you think that's realistic? I didn't conduct the poll, Andrew, but there's clearly a strong undercurrent in this country. People are frustrated and want change. I hear it everywhere, from lifelong labor voters saying they won't vote that way again. This isn't just about one party. It's about all of them. People want honesty and clear policies. Are you considering running for a lower house seat? It's something I'm considering, yes, but I haven't made a final decision. It will depend on discussions with my team and strategic planning. What's clear is that people are demanding change. This government, in my view, is the worst I've seen. Do you want to be prime minister? I won't rule it out. I believe I have the capability, but it's not about me. It's about putting the right person in the role to lead the country forward. Right now, we've lost industries, businesses are collapsing, and families are struggling to survive. This isn't the Australia I grew up in. Whether it's me or someone else, the focus should be on leadership that can rebuild this country. And do you believe you could form a strong team? Absolutely. I already have a capable team with real-world experience. People who understand what Australians are going through. That's what matters.